we have some very interesting news. Coming up in today's live stream, we are talking about AEW not interested in signing a former WWE star, new NWA TV deal announced, and they are going head to head with NXT. I can't wait to see the reaction to that. And then we got to talk about the reason for these NXT call ups. It looks like there's a shift in the in the way that WWE is going to be doing call ups. So we're going to talk about that again. Today's topics. We are talking about so much more. Plus, we are going to be doing the Raw review. So, with that being said, joining us today, we have our good friend, Billy TKO. Shout out to Billy. Billy, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Now, with that being said, Billy, I want to kick things off. I want to kick off today's show talking about these wrestling news stories because, quite frankly, they are really big, and I think they're a relatively big deal. So I actually want to kick things off with the NXT call-ups. A lot of people have been wondering what is the reason for the NXT call-ups. Robert Stone, aka Robbie E. You guys might remember Robbie E from TNA. He was actually talking about this publicly. And, obviously he does some stuff backstage with WWE, but he's also an on-screen talent for the WWE. And he said something that was very interesting when speaking to 10 Count Media. Basically, it got brought up about these NXT call-ups, and he was saying that basically holding a talent back who is clearly ready does them a disservice. Whoever's in charge and sees someone that they're great, why wait? Every day that goes on, people are getting older and time's going by. So let's get the ball rolling sooner than later. Why not? Now, one of the biggest reasons why I love this is because this actually suggests that there is a shift in the way WWE views NXT and its call-up system. Typically in the past, it was like guys would stay in NXT forever, wait till they develop, and then decide whether or not they should go to the main roster. And as we have seen with Stephanie Vakir and with Julia and so many of the talents now, we're starting to see them just get immediately moved up. And that means, they might come into NXT, they might have a quick title reign or whatever it may be, but the point is to get them learning the WWE system as fast as possible, understanding how to work hard cam and whatever it may be, and then boom, get them up to Raw or SmackDown. I think this is a smart shift in strategy for WWE because I feel like, especially under the Vince McMahon era, NXT call-ups were largely disappointing. I feel like with Triple H's era, some of them have been really good. Some of them have been decent. What do you think of this? How do you think this kind of changes the game for WWE moving forward?
Well, I mean, we've kind of seen it as of recent, obviously, like you said, with the Stephanies and the Julias and potentially the Jordan Graces of the world. WWE, they understand that these people already have a history in the pro wrestling business. They probably already have somewhat of a understanding. Now, you have to understand, like, when they talk about this, they're not talking about maybe like the NIL talent or anything like that. Like, they're immediately talking about these people like Stephanie, like Julia, that are just kind of getting pushed up and shoved into the main roster immediately. And I think that is strictly because, I obviously, again, having that pro wrestling background. So when I look at it, I think it's fine. Again, the call-ups that we've seen in the past were much worse. We've seen people get changed completely. Carrying cross, cough, cough. But on top of that, like, I think it's good for the business, right? They're not changing much about the characters. They're pushing them to where they need to go. And it's ultimately making your Mondays and your Fridays much better. So I like it.
Yeah, and one thing, too, I will say is, like, with NXT and the call-up system, we see a lot of talent who might be coming over from AEW. And some of these talents are coming from AEW to NXT. And I think a lot of times people look at this and they're like, well, they don't need NXT. Well, they have to justify to their shareholders why they have the Performance Center. So when you see Ricky Starks, Ethan Page, Jordan Grace, some of these names that we know are going to have big careers in the WWE, you put them in a small stint in the Performance Center at NXT. And then, when you have to justify why you have it, then you say, look how many people we've had working WrestleMania that came from our developmental program, right? It's a nice little trick in the book that WWE has, which is quite exciting. I do want to turn our attention to another news topic. We have the NWA. Today, they've revealed through a press release with Roku that they will be live on, well, not live, but their show will air on Tuesdays, head-to-head with NXT starting in July. Now, this is interesting because about a month ago or so, there was news that NWA was working with the Roku channel for, its tape library and special events and, behind the scenes footage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, today they've revealed starting July 29th, NWA matches will stream for free every Tuesday at 8 p.m. And essentially, the way that it's going to work is it's going to be on US, Canada, and Mexico. And this will be at the same time slot as WWE, NXT on the CW. So, now Billy Corgan is putting NWA against NXT, which is interesting. The Roku channel, this is where, Roku is starting to do more with the television. It's not just software on a TV or a Roku stick, but now they're developing more content for their hub. What do you make of NWA challenging NXT head to head on Tuesday nights?
Okay, I mean, we got to be serious, dude. We have to look at this for what it is, right? NWA challenging NXT. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Is not going to affect NXT at all. But when I think about it, I mean, hey, it gives more options, right? And if maybe you're not a WWE fan and maybe you're an NWA fan, and hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you want to go watch NWA, go watch it because now you have the opportunity to. So ultimately, it's good for NWA. Does absolutely nothing for WWE. It's not going to affect them any. I think the people that watch NWA watch NWA, and the people that watch NXT watch NXT. Very simple. Don't got to think about that one too much. Yeah, man. Not affecting them at all.
Yeah, this definitely has no effect on NXT whatsoever. But what I will say is this, Billy, because this is an interesting part of it all. WWE is working with NWA. We just saw, with Natty Neidhart working under the NWA umbrella. I don't think this is a matter of NWA trying to compete with WWE head to head and try to damage them. But I also think, they can't do Monday nights, they can't do Wednesday nights, and they sure as hell can't do Friday nights. Like there's wrestling every day, and technically they can technically do Thursday nights, but it doesn't really make that much sense for them to do so, especially with rumors of Collision moving to Thursdays. So I don't mind them doing the Tuesday. They were doing Tuesdays at 6:05 on X. I think this is just a better opportunity for NWA to have a little bit more exposure. And there's also no excuse for people to not be able to watch it because it's free. So just like how you could watch NXT for free on the CW, you can also watch NWA for free on this channel. So to me personally, I just think it's cool that NWA is getting a better opportunity. Of course, this is a streaming deal, and I would like to see them. Obtain a better TV deal in general. But from going on YouTube to Twitter, now they're going to at least a streaming provider, I think is a good sign for NWA. Billy Corgan's got a lot of work ahead of him. So what I would actually like to see, and we'll move on, but one thing I would like to see is, hey, you're kind of working with WWE in general. Why not have a little bit of crossover between NWA and NXT? And because you're on the same night, it actually allows for, to make sense of it with your pre-tape. So that is something I would like to see. But it is something definitely worth discussing because NWA is in fact going head to head with NXT, and that's not going to change.
Nope. It is what it is.
With that being said, our final topic that we're going to discuss before we review Raw, Tegan Nox is apparently not signing with AEW. And this is interesting because a lot of times wrestlers get released from WWE, and the immediate consensus online is that they're going to AEW. Nixon Newell, aka Tegan Nox. I'm going to keep referring her to as Tegan Nox because that's just the way I know her, right? But she was basically doing an interview with the Wrestling in the Middle podcast, and she was talking about her desire to join AEW. She says, I would love to go there. There's so many people there that I want to wrestle, that I really want to tangle with. Tony Storm. I wrestled Tony many years on the indies. So I'd like to, revisit that. There's just a lot of women there that I would revisit. She was saying that her enthusiasm for AEW has actually kind of been tempered with based on the perception of AEW's interest in her. So she says, I am more than willing to join AEW and to talk about that stuff. As far as I know, I don't think there's an interest from them, which is a shame, but I would love to go there. there has been this belief by AEW, by the way, that I just kind of want to throw out there. There has been this belief by AEW that they're not necessarily going after former WWE talent anymore. And I think this is largely due to the fact that people leave, they lose their jobs with WWE, they come into AEW with the hopes of going back to WWE, and then you have a situation where Malachi, Rusev, Saints, all these guys, all these talents don't end up getting utilized anymore because it becomes well known that they're not trying to be there anymore. So I do think Tony Khan has actually been a little bit smarter about who he signs, and this is why we're seeing, Alex Windsor from the independent scene in the UK, like she's joining the company. We see Megan Bain. We see, Mina Shirakawa, Speedball Mike Bailey. I feel like they're going for more of those indie talents who didn't get the opportunity to work for WWE, which I'll praise AEW. I think this is the right strategy, currently speaking. So I don't blame them. But what do you make of it when Tegan Knox, she comes from that indie background, she has that style that AEW is looking for. What do you make of it when she says that AEW is not necessarily interested?
Well, obviously, number one, it sucks for Tegan Knox. Obviously, she's looking for employment. She's gonna want to go work. But I want to actually praise AEW here. That just means that they've listened. For a long time, people said, "Hey, you have such a big roster. Don't go out and sign every single person." It's the same story as somebody like Cedric Alexander. Yes, they could have signed Cedric Alexander, but we said it, yesterday. At the end of the day, he just would have been another person that was on that roster. So I think good for AEW. You, as a business, you have to look at this in a sense of not all your money is good money. So not every dollar that you spend is good, right? And just because you see somebody and you're looking and from the outside looking in, hey, you might fit here, doesn't actually mean that they'll fit. A person that comes to mind, is Deonna Purrazzo, who has obviously just kind of been pushed to the side, hasn't really been able to do anything on TV and whatnot. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm actually going to praise AEW here and say, hey, good for you guys, watching where you spend your money, understanding that not everybody is going to fit maybe that AEW mold that you're trying to build. So good for them. I'm not against it. And Tegan, she'll be fine. I just want to preface that. She will. I mean, she'll wrestle on the indies. She'll make a career out of this if that's what she continues to do. She'll get booked in numerous places. So trust me, she'll be okay.
Well, one thing too that I think really needs to be said is people need to look at the talent pool and then also realize TNA exists. And it's a good thing that TNA exists, and it's a good thing that people have gone to TNA. Right now, TNA's Knockouts division has been butchered by WWE and AEW, right? Both of those companies are taking their top women, and TNA is finding a way to make their Knockouts division interesting again. Right now, I don't know what it is, but they have this like huge initiative with UK talent. Tegan Knox, she fits. She could go to TNA and show the world exactly why they messed up on not bringing her in. But yeah, I don't blame AEW at all. And quite frankly, I think this is one of those things where she's kind of been talking about a severe lack of bookings, right? And this is something that's been publicly said by her. But if you're not getting a lot of bookings, I think part of that is you have to be active on social media, but you have to do something to drum up some interest. And if you're Tegan Knox, maybe that those calls aren't coming in as frequently, but you are incredibly talented. So when you get, she just did a show in Attack Wrestling, like make sure you're taking advantage of that with the content and the clips and look at what Indy Hartwell is doing. She's been very active with vlogging and social media and content creation, where now she's in TNA. Like that same opportunity could be afforded to her. So it's not AEW's fault. They can't sign everybody. There is such a large talent pool. I would love to see more talent entertain the idea of TNA. But nonetheless, I think this is relatively huge for AEW not to bring her in, because AEW has been improving their women's division. So I am a little bit shocked, but I will give them their props for not necessarily, jumping all over it. So that's kind of why I say that. But with that being said, if you guys want more videos and more live streams like this, make sure you guys click that subscribe button. I think the best thing we could do at this point now, Billy, I think we should jump into WWE Raw.
Let's do it.
Last night's episode of WWE Raw was a very, very good episode of WWE Raw. I don't know what it was about WWE last night. I felt like they were firing on all cylinders, and To be honest with you, last night we saw a title change. We saw more stories being developed. We saw a variety of things just going down, and I don't know. I feel like between Ron Killings, our truth, and Gunther and Jey Uso and Seth Rollins and CM Punk and John Cena, this is one of those episodes where I didn't necessarily expect it to be so good, but somehow, some way, it ended up being a very good episode. Let's talk about Raw. Give me your breakdown. What's your initial thoughts? And of course, we will be reading super chats as they come during our Raw review. So if you guys want to support the show, consider dropping a super chat. Billy, what was your reaction to WWE Raw? And then we'll start breaking things down.
Yeah, man. I mean, my initial reaction to Raw was like, it was a really good show. They followed up on stories that needed to be followed up, and they changed some things. Obviously, the CM Punk John Cena thing was very exciting, and we'll get into that when we get into it. Gunther and Jay. I heard Bully Ray or Bubba Ray, whatever you want to call him. I heard him on Busted Open talking, and he was saying about how like last night's match between Jay and Gunther, like how it was just like a wrestling like clinic. Like they did such a good job, especially in that last 5 to 10 minutes, just really like emphasizing that sleeper hold. And I just want people to think about for that for a second. Is like the match was so exciting over a sleeper hold. So I thought that was really cool. Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross still is the devil on top of Sami Zayn's shoulders. But obviously the big takeaway last night was Gunther became the new world champion, which is very interesting, which, again, I think we'll get into. Ron Killings, Nikki Bella, Bayley returned. Like, so many cool things came out of last night's episode. Some things that, maybe I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of, but we'll dive all into that here shortly.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. Tell me, what was something that you're not a fan of then? Let's just get right into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna knock down that door right away, okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the Jay and Gunther stuff. As exciting as it was, and like I said, it was a really good match for what it was. I'm a little bit of the minority here, thinking that maybe giving Gunther back that world title wasn't the best decision. Not when there wasn't anything on top of it, because let's be real here, a lot of us sat up and we were like, oh yeah, Seth's going to cash in. And even during my live stream yesterday, I said, oh, they're not going to do it because it's almost too predictable. And WWE wants to stem away from the predictability of what that show could be. Regardless of that, I think in some sense, if I'm being honest, the Jey Uso thing, as much as people loved it, WWE almost did him a disservice by only letting him carry that title for 51 days. I felt like, and again, these are all personal feelings, so personal biased, it is what it is. I felt like they could have done more with him and given him more of an opportunity to shine with that championship. But again, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's not like it's the end-all, be-all, but I think it just shows that maybe there are some cracks inside of TKO that aren't necessarily perfect, because one big thing of that is what we just witnessed last night was an experiment. In
For Jey Uso?
Yes, it was an experiment.
So let me ask you this, because I'm on record multiple times on the channel saying I don't personally like super long title reigns. That's been an issue that I've had for a very long time. And I think largely too, like there was a lot of fatigue with the fact that Roman Reigns basically held the belt for 2 centuries. Obviously exaggeration, but I think WWE, if I'm being real with you, like Jey Uso winning the belt and then dropping it back to Gunther, I actually am not mad about it in the slightest, because I feel like it was a message to the audience and a message to the WWE universe where we will reward people for their hard work, which it was very clear since 2020, Jey Uso has shown that he was just completely evolving on a different level. I'm kind of like, I'm not mad that they only gave him a 51-day or 52-day reign, because, like I said, it's a reward for his hard work. I actually think Jay and Jimmy should get back together and start dominating the tag team division again and start telling that story, especially when you consider what's going on with Solo Sikoa, JC Mateo, and Jacob Fatu. I think Jay, being the main event Uso, main event Jey Uso thing. Like it's fine. Um, let me show you something actually. Let me see if maybe this would change your mind. Um,
You're gonna show me something.
there's
I can't see it.
I'm gonna read it to you.
Okay.
So there is a crazy theory about Jey Uso dropping the belt, Gunther winning it back, and this involves Sami Zayn winning it. This comes from Jason Solomonster on
Yes.
Twitter.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I love this fantasy booking idea. He says, I think I see the vision now. Gunther is champion again. Sami Zayn wins King of the Ring in Saudi and gets Gunther at SummerSlam. He wins the title, but Seth Rollins spoils the celebration. It's the Daniel Bryan story all over again with Sami getting it back at Mania. Now, me and you have fantasy booked the idea of Sami Zayn winning it as a heel on Jey Uso. We saw Jey Uso lose to Gunther. I'll be honest with you. I thought my fantasy booking idea like 8 months ago was sick. Now we're seeing this idea, and I have to give Solomonster his props. This theory is becoming my favorite theory because it is another long-term story. Yes, they are recycling history, but it's one that actually makes the most sense. Everybody wants fresh stories. Everybody wants fresh champions. We got the Jey Uso title run. Now, how do we get the belt on Sami? I think this is the right way to do it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually in agreement. I think it keeps Sammy, right? And I think the real cool part about this is Karrion Kross is really that devil on his shoulder. So people talking about, oh, there's not a plan for Karrion Kross, et cetera, et cetera. I think there is. And I think he's going to be that guy that's just always in Sammy's way. And right now it seems like he's not doing anything. And it seems like he's sitting there and he's just not garnering any attention or anything like that. Or WWE, they're going to release him, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to play a big role after Sami wins the World Heavyweight Championship. So that's just my thought process. So after he wins it, let's say at WrestleMania, I can see Karrion Kross starting to step into that role a little bit more. But Solomonster's tweet, yeah, man, I'm a big fan of it. It's okay to recycle history. It really is. There's nothing wrong with it as long as you're doing it correctly. And even in some sense, this is still a little bit different. You know what I mean? And he beat Seth, who's the ultimate bad guy, right? At WrestleMania. Yeah. Why not? I'm for it. I guess that would just, push off Braun Breaker another year. But hey, even I'm okay with that.
So at the end of the day, Braun Breaker got called up prematurely. He doesn't need it just yet.
Yep.
Everything could be a slow burn, and that's what WWE is conditioning you. But I think I love how you brought up Karrion Kross because that's the way I'm seeing it too. Like, for those who don't like these short title reigns, if you want new people to become champions, at some point they do got to drop the belt. So Jey has a shorter title reign. Sami eventually wins it. He doesn't need a long title reign. But who's the devil that's been on his shoulder for the past year and a half? Karrion Kross. Oh my God, imagine what that's going to look like, when he finally gets that serious push, right? I think this is a trickle effect into some great storytelling, which Sami turning heel on Jey could have been a really good one, but this is one that creates longevity for multiple different people and multiple different stories, which I think is awesome.
It's the trickle-down effect, and if you don't love the trickle-down effect, then, hey, you're kind of out of luck there. Again, if you look at the things that they're doing with Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, and you talk about recycling stories, that's a recycled story, right? Braun Breaker is eventually just going to be what Batista was to Triple H.
Exactly. Everything is kind of recycled in that sense. Yeah. It's really hard to be fresh with professional wrestling characters and storylines. It's just how can you tweak them and make them a little bit different?
Exactly.
Excuse me. We did get a super chat from Adam Myron. He dropped a $5 super chat. He says, "I think WWE made an error. Their first." The chat is freezing. I think WWE made an error. Their first Goldberg should have cost Gunther the match against Jey Uso. Instead, no Goldberg. Gunther wins the title clean. What do you think of that? I think it's very clear that Gunther winning. So here's the thing that I love about Gunther beating Jey Uso the way that he did. When Jey Uso beat Gunther, Gunther tapped. When Gunther just beat Jey Uso with a sleeper hold, there was a lot of suspense, and it was actually long-winded. It wasn't just, put him in a submission and it's done. It took like a good 7 minutes, but he finally put Jey Uso to sleep, which I think is a very cool thing for Jey Uso He'll be able to bring that up in promos. He'll be able to talk about that. Hey, I made you tap. You put me to sleep. I didn't even have the opportunity to tap because I don't quit, you know? So I think that was a really, really cool thing. What do you think of that? What do you think of Goldberg not being involved in this particular situation?
Oh, I mean, I'm the wrong person to ask that. I'm for it. Yeah, thank the Lord. I don't want to see Goldberg on my TV. I don't. I'm sorry. I understand, like, oh, he needs his retirement match, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care. I am perfectly fine with Goldberg never showing up again. Just being honest. But I understand that people believe because of what happened at Bad Blood that there has to be something there. I mean, if that was the time, then yeah, they messed it up, and man, he should have came back. But if not, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not mad that that Goldberg is not there. I'm not.
I'm gonna be real. I know I have a different approach than you, but I'm just being honest. Goldberg coming back Saturday night's main event, World Heavyweight Championship match, right, against Gunther. But if Gunther wins, if he's put over, I think that's great. Imagine Gunther retires Goldberg and he retains his world championship. It's a lot better than a non-title match.
Yeah, I guess, but like, that doesn't do anything for me. Like, it doesn't. Again, this is just a me thing. Maybe it does something for somebody else, but it does absolutely nothing for me. Like, I'm not over here like, oh my god, look at goosebumps. You know, I'm not.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not mad about it. It's just if they decide to have Goldberg win, then that's where my outrage comes from. But I do think, to be fair, I think WWE does owe Goldberg a legit send off.
Yes.
That moment that he'll have, I do think that he deserves it. I'm sorry, but like WWE kind of did him dirty in the sense. Yeah, they kind of did him dirty, especially when they transitioned into TKO. It was like, yeah, they kind of disrespected him a little bit, and I could see why he was frustrated about everything. But would you rather have Goldberg go into AEW and have his retirement tour? Because at one point that was a possibility, right? No, let him go into WWE. Let him drop the belt, or not drop the belt. Let him lose the opportunity to win the belt to Gunther, and Gunther retires him completely in Atlanta. You put over your rising star. I'm okay with that. I swear, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, it doesn't really do anything for me. I'm not giddy about it, or too giddy about it, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, they're going to do it. Like you said, WWE in some senses disrespected Goldberg, you know. Let's just do it and get it over with.
Yeah. And by the way, just for like those who are going to question this, Saturday night's main event has been a very big success for WWE right now. Like NBC, Peacock, like they are happy with Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
That's the weekend that they load up against All In. So just imagine you have Gunther and Goldberg and Cody and Cena, and there's a variety of other things that you can do. Like this will be a star-studded show. Goldberg loses, not a big deal. You move on. Right. Now, one thing I will say, I don't know who tweeted it out, but I just want to throw this out there. Someone tweeted out about UFC Fight Night being in Vegas, or excuse me, being in Atlanta, Georgia this Saturday.
Yeah.
Might not be a bad idea for Gunther and Goldberg to both be in attendance and some sort of stare down.
Yes.
Nice little shove. Use that to build it up. That'd be pretty sick. And obviously TKO owns both companies. It makes a lot of sense.
That would be the smart idea, is for WWE to use outside resources instead of putting Goldberg directly on TV immediately, using the outside media to funnel that rivalry between Gunther and Goldberg. I would actually be okay with that, and I'd be a fan of that.
Taker, Brock Lesnar, UFC style. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, everybody picks it up. TMZ and everybody. I could see that working out very well.
Me too.
Shout out to Adam for the super chat. Andre Benson dropping a $5 super chat. He says, questions for everyone, including the chat. Do you think Killian should take the championship off Cena or stick to the plan they already got in place now? Billy, what do you think? Because this is a crazy idea. And I'm not going to lie. I can't sit here and hide it. I have been begging for R-Truth to have one serious run for the last few years. So I would 1,000,000% support it. I don't think they'll do it, but I would support it 1,000,000%. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I'd support it. I'd be completely okay with Ron Killings being the guy to take the championship off Cena. I would not, especially after what they did last night. They had him attack him at Saturday night's main event. Obviously, tell that story a little bit deeper, explain it a little bit. Why would
Yeah.
Ron Killings be doing that? Obviously, we know the basis of the stories. John Cena, turned his back pretty much on Truth after Truth did everything to help him. So I think you could tell that story, but if you want me to be quite honest, I think our true story is not going to be moving forward with Cena. I think it's going to be moving forward with Randy Orton,
Yeah.
and I think they're going to tell that story between Ron Killings and Randy Orton. I don't know if I'm crazy for that, but that's obviously Killings interrupted the match that he had at Backlash. We haven't really seen Randy Orton since. There you go. That's my hot take of the day. I think they're going to move on from Cena and Ron for the time being. I do think that they'll answer it back later on, but right now I think the next thing that we see is Randy Orton and R-Truth or Ron Killings. Just strictly off the basis of everything that happened at Backlash.
Yeah.
I would love to see it.
Very interesting. Are we having issues with the stream? Can anybody confirm?
I don't know. What's going on?
Nothing. I'm just making sure because I feel like I might be experiencing some small technical glitches. I mean, we might not be, but it's just YouTube Studio does this sometimes. I know other streamers were talking about this, but they were saying like YouTube Studio, when you're interacting with the chat and stuff, sometimes it glitches and it starts buffering.
Sure.
And
yeah, for sure.
So I noticed that. Some people are saying it's lagging. Some people are saying it's not. Okay, that is kind of strange. I do apologize for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I'm really with you on that one. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to compare the two.
For sure.
But I think I love the Seth Rollins group. Even with him winning Money in the Bank, it feels very important, and it all kind of makes sense as to why they're doing things the way they're doing things. And it was a nice way to get to get away from Paul Heyman and Roman and Punk and everything like that. So I feel like it actually all worked out in their favor, to be honest, which is a good thing. So
yeah.
Shout out to Brian McKenny for the super chat. Seleno Channel dropping 200 rupees. He says, every talent who thinks they can beat Truth easily. Now it's Ron, the alter ego. The moment when Truth lost, the smile labeling him as risk, then reward is the moment Ron's going to cash in on a loss 17 years. This is a lot to try to dissect. But what I will say this is Ron Killings yesterday cut off his hair. He's a G, man. We're finally getting a serious. We're finally getting a serious. R-Truth, Ron Killings.
Yeah, man.
The promo was sick. Like this is the way to go out with a bang. We know this is his final run. I'm all about it, bro.
Yeah, I'm all about it too, man. I think if you're gonna do it, let's Nats fan over in my chat, he said, strike when the iron is hot. So now is the time. The iron's hot. Let this man go on a great run.
What's nice is he doesn't even need a belt to be with the top stars.
That's how I feel. He doesn't have to be. Like, I understand that we all want him to have a championship. I said it in my chat yesterday. If you want, let him go after the Intercontinental or let him go after the United States Championship and let him go on a serious run and make and legitimize. If it were me, I would have him go after the United States Championship and just really legitimize that. If you can also kind of go back to his last match in WWE before he was quote unquote released against JC Mateo, and you can let him do stuff over there. Like, there's a lot that you can do with Ron Killings. I don't think it necessarily has to be with John Cena, and it doesn't have to be for that championship in particular. There's other championships that he can win. The thing is the belt doesn't legitimize the person legitimizes the belt.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Can't go wrong with that. Shout out to Toledo Channel for the 200 rupees. Phil dropping a 1999 super chat. I always pictured Sammy beating Gunther for the IC title at WrestleMania 40, then the world title at WrestleMania 41. Didn't happen, but now maybe he wins it at SummerSlam. Seth cashes in. Sammy wins the 2026 Rumble in Saudi and takes it back at WrestleMania 42. Whether he wins King of the Ring or the Royal Rumble, I'm straight with both options. And you know what? I'm gonna give Phil here some credit for throwing this out there because I wasn't even thinking about the 2026 Royal Rumble. But if you have him win SummerSlam, this is your way to enter Karrion Kross.
That's what
Karrion Kross could be. That's do it this way. Karrion Kross sees that Sami Zayn gets cashed in on, and you should have listened to me. And now Sammy's going to have to really reflect on Karrion Kross. Now you get that 6-month period of like actual storytelling. Dude, it works out very well. And then, yeah, Sammy winning the Royal Rumble next year. Very good decision. You can't go wrong with it. But I actually like the idea of him winning Royal Rumble instead of King of the Ring. Because with King of the Ring, you can have this become an opportunity for someone to go after John Cena, which, to be fair, I think it should be Cody Rhodes. Honestly, I think Cody should win King of the Ring. But if you do it this way, Cody wins King of the Ring, Sammy wins Royal Rumble. That's 2 years in a row where the Royal Rumble is no longer like it's not won by this massive predictable. Oh, it's John Cena, it's Drew McIntyre, it's this person, that person. You know what I mean?
It's unpredictable.
Yeah, so I like that. I like the idea a lot. And yeah, if he wins at WrestleMania 42 in Vegas, dog, I'm telling you, this might be the WrestleMania in Vegas. Hey, they're running it back in Vegas.
I know.
This could be a way to rectify what they did last year.
It could be, and I think I seen a tweet. It said, what did it say? Or maybe somebody said it in the chat. They said, if you were there last year, don't go this year.
Well, I will tell you. I thought that would be the right mentality, but I've actually come across a lot of comments on TikTok and YouTube where people are like, I don't know why people are so mad about it being in Vegas again. We never have WrestleManias. We always have to travel to the East Coast where it's cold. And I've seen a lot of people say this. They're like, I had to go to Philadelphia. I had to go, like, I kind of get that, bro. I kind of get that mentality where some of these people are like, hey, I'm okay with it being in Vegas again. Personally speaking, I don't like that, but I kind of get.
It really was. Yeah.
I can't change my mind on this. Clearly, WWE has plans. This isn't WWE randomly coming up with something last second. They knew what they were doing with Seth Rollins. They knew what they were doing with Naomi. And I don't think it's necessarily playing it safe. I think it's them knowing exactly their vision. And I appreciate that out of WWE because I feel like after 20 years of Vince not really knowing what the hell that. But what I will say is this. If you want LA Knight to be a world champion, you have to not only be patient, but I also think you have to realize, like, do you prioritize him over a Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan-esque reign? Like, no, like you can't, bro. You can't. Sami Zayn's been on the roster a lot longer than him, and he's never been a world champion, and he's always been over. Exactly. So it's like, how do you pick and choose? It's very tough. It's a very difficult situation. As far as the women goes, Naomi's a perfect example of somebody who is now finally getting the opportunity after so many years of just being the good company person. She's just doing it as a heel. And by the way, Stephanie and Vakir could go after the IC title. Julia's going after the US title. You don't have to rush it. Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, some of these NXT talents that we're seeing, Stephanie, Julia, you don't have to rush them right away. Let them do some stuff in the mid card. That's the way WWE operates, but also the WWE universe is very understanding of that. And that's why you just got to keep being loud and being vocal. What LA Knight did last night on Raw, going after Braun Breaker, I literally texted Billy because obviously we had our stream yesterday. I was like, that moment made me think, okay, this guy can be more than just a mid-carder. But timing is of the essence. It's just not his time right now. So LA Knight, get away from the bloodline stuff on SmackDown. Get away from Shinsuke, right? Draft him to Raw. Let that be the thing. When he goes to Raw, he can start doing some stuff long term, which I think will be really good.
Yeah, and obviously they showed hints of that last night with him coming over and doing what he was doing, attacking Braun Breaker. I think that spoke volumes to LA Knight's future. Like you said, be done with the bloodline stuff. That's been ongoing for very long. Switch it up a little bit. And now, hopefully, we can see him go on that super-duper babyface rise against a very... what is another growing bloodline and is more modern and will fit the times for LA Knight, if that makes any sense. Like it's the current bloodline right when it was hot in bloodline or in LA Knight. Like there's more of a I don't know why I'm struggling so hard to say this and get this out. LA Knight right now is facing kind of the inception of Roman Reigns, but there's more of a chance for Seth to potentially lose one day than there was Roman, which makes it better for LA Knight.
Yeah. By the way, Seth loses the belt at some point. If he wins Money in the Bank and he loses the belt, you have the Roman and Seth feud to go back to.
Yes. Yep.
So.
Yep.
Shout out to our good friend Dwayne Jackson for the 20 bomb. Poindexter coming through with the 20 bomb of himself. With Seth coming out during Cena and Punk, and with the backstage segment where he told the group with King of the Ring in the briefcase, this is an all-out assault on both world titles. Do we see the possibility of Seth cashing in on the WWE belt? That could be fun. That could be a nice little swerve. It could be a nice little swerve. Why? Because Cody and Seth is another feud that I'm sorry, I'm on board with it. I know we've seen Seth and Cody a lot when Cody came back, but there's that story there of Seth also helping Cody at WrestleMania to win the title, and I think that would be an entertaining way of Seth cashes in on John Cena. John Cena eventually turns babyface. I mean, John Cena's winning these matches or losing these matches, but at the end of these matches, he's sitting on the ramp. He's starting to look like he's having regret of turning heel. Maybe the sooner they have him transition into a babyface role, it's better. I don't hate this idea, honestly. I don't know how you feel, Billy, but I would never be mad if Seth cashed in on John Cena. It would be a nice freaking swerve. It would be actually, what would be really cool is you have Cody beat John Cena at Saturday night's main event, and Seth Rollins cashes in on Cody with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker taking out Cody, and Seth wins. And
the cool thing is there's not really a wrong answer here because you could have Punk win too, and you could have him cash in on Punk.
Oh my god! And then, like, yes, dude, like you literally can't go wrong. I don't know. It's crazy to me. I get excited about it because this is the first time where it's like, yes, I thought Solid Monster's idea was awesome, and then Phil kind of dropped the one where it's like, hey, Sammy wins Royal Rumble. I love both of those options, right? But
Yeah.
now I'm liking the idea of Seth going after the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, just one quick point, and then I'll let you respond. But I think those world titles got to switch shows. The WWE Championship's got to be on Raw. The World Heavyweight Championship's got to be on SmackDown. Seth goes after the WWE Championship. Now that championship is coming to Raw. Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis got to bring the World Heavyweight Champion to SmackDown. I think it actually ends up working.
Yeah, I mean, they did that many years ago. They need to put that World Heavyweight Championship over on SmackDown and keep that WWE Championship on Raw, because the WWE Championship, I mean, if you want to talk from just like a look perspective, WWE Championship just looks so much better on Raw. And the World Heavyweight title always looked better on SmackDown to me. Maybe that's just the way I grew up and that's how it was, but
Yeah. But not only that, too, just keep this in mind. Not only that, but WWE Championship is the A title. Netflix is the A show, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I mean, if you're looking at brand visibility, that's just a way better business decision, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Shout out to Poindexter. Jonathan dropping a $4.99. He says, who do you guys think is the mystery opponent for next week? Hopefully it's Ilya. Dude, I want to say Ilya so bad. Because I feel like WWE just owes it to us. For those who watch NXT UK, you got to give us Gunther and Ilya at some point. Yeah, like you just have to give it to us at some point. It would be really nice if that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be Ilya. But I will say this. I just want to throw this out there. I'm getting really sick and tired of in professional wrestling across all companies. Raw, SmackDown, NXT. Well, not NXT because NXT is really good with this, but like TNA and AEW. Whenever there's a mystery opponent, I always feel like it's a letdown. At least in the past year, I feel like it's been a letdown. So if it's Ilya, I would be very happy. But for some reason, I have a feeling it's not Ilya. So I don't know who I would think it's going to be. But
I actually agree. I think it is going to be Ilya.
You think so? I don't think he's cleared, though, is he?
I don't know. Again, I mean, what do we really know? You know what I mean? WWE could keep that stuff super tight-knit.
That is true. It fits, though, because obviously Sheamus, Rusev. Who was the third?
Sheamus,
Rusev. I'm trying to think of who the other person was in the bracket.
I have it on my phone. I have a picture of it. I just can't. Oh my goodness, who was it? Do you know?
It's not Braun Breaker. No, it's Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah,
I'm with it.
Throw Ilya in the mix. Why not?
Gosh, dude, it's gonna be a freaking slapper.
You have LA Knight get involved again next week,
and he takes out Bronson.
Yeah.
And then it leads to him feuding with Seth.
Yep.
Not a bad idea.
Nope.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I wouldn't either.
Shout out to Jonathan for the super chat. Combat Sports Today dropping $1.99. Give Ron Killings a faction with Oba Femi and Carmelo. Hey, listen, I'm all for more factions.
Yeah, we know.
You know me. We have this conversation all the time when we're live. So I'm gonna throw it out there. I have no nothing against this. I wouldn't be mad about Ron Killings having a faction. Mm-hmm. And listen, he is the vet. So like Oba Femi or Carmelo Hayes getting involved with him would be cool. You know, Ron Killings stealing Carmelo from the Miz.
That's a bad idea.
I'm not mad at it.
No, I wouldn't either.
I think when you look at Ron Killings and what he can do with these younger guys, I think it helps out a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure.
So I dig it. Shout out to CST, my favorite MMA source.
Let's go.
Francis Martin dropping $5 Canadian. I just hope that Killings run is not lost in the shuffle because he deserves OG all the way. Can't wait to see where it goes. No, it's definitely not getting lost in the shuffle.
No, not this time around.
Yeah, he's up there. He's killing it.
Right. He's good.
Yeah. he's honestly dominating. Like as far as that goes, the promo coming out, the way he interrupts the show, he got the he got the finger point picture with Triple H.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was Triple H trying to fix everything on social media. I love it. Shout out to Francis for the super chat. We have a super chat from Toledo Channel for 200 rupees. What's your take on ads for everything? For me, I'm conditioned ads due to popularity of soccer and cricket in my country with sponsors on jerseys. All I want is talents getting benefit. All I want is talents getting benefits. WWE equals money. Yeah, listen, I'm gonna just throw this out there. I have no problem with it. Sponsored ladders, tables, this, that. Do it. I don't care. It's not a big deal. People want to complain about it because this is my problem. New Japan has had ads on their ring mat forever. Okay? Nobody complains about it. WWE has it the same exact way people complain about it. Then WWE's like, well, we're going to sponsor the tables and the ladders. Bro, it's ad revenue. This is what the world is. Billy, you are wearing a hat. You are advertising the Lions. You are not getting paid for it.
No.
What hat is that? 47? New Era? What is it? New Era?
New Era, yeah.
How much money is New Era giving you to wear this hat on the Angle Show live?
Nothing.
Start charging them because you're a walking billboard for them.
That's right.
So the thing is, WWE's just going to get money anyways. They're going to do it. I have no problem with it. Personally speaking, I have no problem with it. Ads are everywhere. This is literally the way the world works. Ads are literally everywhere. People are wearing shirts with a Nike logo on it. It's free advertising. WWE is going to keep doing this. Every company is going to keep doing this. The outrage wasn't there when AEW had DraftKings over the ring mat. For people who think it's overdone and it's too much, I tried warning everybody 3 years ago. I warned everybody that it was going to happen. And I told people on my channel, I said, you cannot get mad at it because at the end of the day, it is happening. It will happen. WWE will maximize those profits just like the UFC does. Wait till they start sponsoring wrestlers. When Roman Reigns comes out and it has his nameplate, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to have the Slim Jim logo and he's going to be a Slim Jim athlete. Yep. Yeah, it's going to happen. Yep. But here's the good news. Here is the good news, right? WWE is going to do that. As long as it's not affecting the creative part of the show, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't look that tacky either. The Fireball whiskey ladder did not look tacky. It actually kind of looked cool having a design on it, you know? But in my opinion, I just don't think it's that big of a deal to be mad about.
No, bro. People just love to get mad about anything. That's like the world of a wrestling fan these days.
And by the way, I encourage every company to do it.
Yeah.
I encourage AEW to do it. I encourage TNA to do it. Which, by the way, this is why you don't see Tony Khan shitting on it. Because if Tony Khan were to shit on it, well, dumbass, like that's money coming into you. Like, right. Why would you shit on the idea of more money? No, it doesn't hurt the product whatsoever. So,
right. Silly stuff.
Yeah.
Silly stuff.
Yeah. Very silly. Very, very silly. Shout out to our good friend Toledo Channel for the super chat. If there's any more super chats that people want to put in, go ahead and do it before the show concludes. Billy, I know you're also live. You're doing vertical, I believe. Did you have any super chats or anything that you wanted to?
No.
Okay.
No, and it wasn't able to go vertical, but we're gonna try vertical tomorrow.
It wasn't able to go vertical.
No, my software wouldn't let me go vertical. It let me go vertical, obviously, over on TikTok, but we're going to try vertical on YouTube tomorrow. We're going to get that situated today. Because I'm interested to see what a vertical stream would look like.
Yeah, I kind of like the whole vertical thing. We were having a good time with that when we tested out with Restream.
Yeah.
Nice. So let me ask you, John Cena, CM Punk, Night of Champions. What are your thoughts, buddy?
So, I have a interesting take on this one, and I think it's obviously it has a little bit to do with my fandom towards CM Punk. Obviously, people know I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I've made that very vocal. A lot of questions that I've seen people ask is like, "Oh, is like CM Punk a bad person for doing what he's doing?" And look at everything that he said. You know, he's a hypocrite. He's all of these different things. And while, yes, that may be true. I think I I want to preface by saying, like, I have so much respect for the people that go out there and they find the sources and the news and stuff like that. I think I love it. I have so much respect. But I think somewhere along the line, people now believe that they're fans because they know, like, the inside scoops. So because people know about this tweet that CM Punk made many years ago, oh, well, that makes them a fan. I'm a fan of wrestling because I know everything that is currently going on inside of the locker room when they're at home. I know everything about them, and that's what makes me a fan. And when I seen last night, like, I actually got goosebumps from it when I seen John Cena and CM Punk, because there was a time where, like, I really begged for this match to happen again because, like, I genuinely miss CM Punk in pro wrestling. Like, I did. You know what I mean? And many years ago, 2015, 2016, I wouldn't have believed you that this was going to happen again. And it didn't matter where it was going to take place. It truly didn't. And this kind of goes back to the topic that we've talked about numerous times, that people love to create outrage out of something that really has nothing to do with them. And just because somebody said something or just because somebody acts a certain way, they love to run with people's history. And it's like, that doesn't make you a fan. It doesn't. I'll just be transparent and honest. What makes you a fan is enjoying the show and watching it for what it is and actually sitting down and looking at the things at play here and letting WWE or AEW take you on that ride to tell you that story. That's what I perceive as a fan. So when people come out here and they say, oh, well, CM Punk's wrong because he's going to Saudi Arabia and look at everything that's happened. Well, yes, he may have gone out and he may have said those things, and maybe that does make him a hypocrite. At the end of the day, dude, like, what just happened to being a fan? It's not cool anymore. If you're...
Well,
go ahead. I'll let you go.
Yeah, not to interrupt you. I was just going to say, I think the big thing is everybody wants to be moral police. And these are not your friends. These are not your friends, and they're not your family.
No.
They're going to have different views than you. And I also think my message to the world is look in the mirror before you start judging other people, because there's a little bit of a hypocrite in everyone.
Yep.
And, I want this match.
So do I.
John Cena was a heel. He says, you want it, you're going to follow me to Saudi Arabia.
It's the heel thing to do.
Yeah, I think, listen, at the end of the day, I think CM Punk, it's like, what do they say? Like, don't get too close to your idols or whatever. Like, these wrestlers, bro, they're not going to have the same political beliefs, the same personal beliefs as you. And your beliefs aren't right or wrong, by the way. Like, everybody has their own way of thinking and way of doing things. That's why I can't get mad at it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, man, like, these people, like, they'll do what they do. I think people just love to attack people for just the things that they do. And, at the end of the day, like you said, I think you did a really good job at saying it. If we take a close, deep dive and take a look in the mirror at all of us, we all got a little bit of hypocrite in us. None of us are perfect, and we never will be. But again, going back, this is one of those matches that I've just wanted forever. It didn't matter to me where it happened. I just wanted to see it. I've seen a lot of TikToks recently. Those two, contrary to disbelief, like, wrestling soulmates. You know what I mean? So I'll be honest. I'm not going in as a reporter. I'm not going in as a journalist. I'm not going in to know the latest scoop. When I go and watch this match, I'm watching it like that kid watched that match at Money in the Bank in 2011.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
I love that. I'm ready for Cena and Punk. I don't care where it takes place.
Me too, man.
I'm excited.
I'm pumped, bro.
And I thought that was a great promo by Cena. And
dude, very heel-like too of Cena. I mean, whether you want to believe it or not, them doing it in the ring, that's fine. That's the whole point of wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So them doing it, I'll count me in.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Billy for the take. All right, 2 super chats and then we'll call it off. Dwayne Jackson dropping a $10 super chat. Ango, with WBD splitting into 2 divisions, how does this affect AEW when it comes down to their current TV deal? Will they receive less money or the current depending on the split of WBD? So technically speaking, WBD is separating into 2 companies. I talked about this yesterday. I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but I do think there's a lot of people, which by the way, I'm so fucking tired of I'm trying not to swear, but I am so effing tired of people who read the headline of a caption for a TikTok and then don't actually listen to the clip.
Oh man,
because I'm getting a lot of I'm getting blowback on this. I said, could AEW lose its TV deal? But the conversation is not actually anything bashing AEW. It's literally to do with the fact that WBD is now losing its corporate synergy between 2 companies.
Dude,
they have 2 different strategies.
We spent like 30 minutes talking about that yesterday.
Yes. So I want to make this very clear. AEW's current TV deal will continue to go on. At any point, if they want to cut the TV deal, if WBD Global Networks wants to say, hey, we're just not doing this anymore, they could, right? Just like Netflix could. I think what I said yesterday marks the best thing possible. WBD they're not going to have that corporate synergy. So between HBO Max and then between TNT and all the sports and stuff, they're just 2 separate entities, which means 2 separate ways of handling money, which means 2 separate ways of the content they're going to be buying or selling. I do not believe that AEW will have an issue whatsoever remaining on this contract. I do believe Tony Khan will shop for a new partner after the fact.
Yep.
And I think that will happen 100%. Also, I made the prediction that somebody will buy Warner Bros. Discovery, cough, cough, Apple, or Amazon. So I'm going to throw that out there. Warner Bros. Discovery, TNT, TBS, HGTV, all those companies will be sold to a major streamer, and then HBO Max will continue as their own separate company. Now, as far as money goes, you can't predict that. I don't want to predict that at all, because right now Warner Bros. Discovery in general is in a lot of debt, and that's not getting better. That's the reason why they're doing this. And with them doing the split, they're the ones who are obtaining most of the debt. So I can't say. I don't think they remain with them, but I don't think AEW goes away. I think they just get a better TV partner, in my opinion.
Agreed. TNT is not what it was in 2001. I'm just here to tell you guys.
Yeah, it's just completely different ball game. Shout out to Dwayne Jackson for the super chat. D-Rec2 dropping a $5 super chat. The fact of the matter is everyone does business with Saudi now. Saudi Arabia, they're investing in a lot. You know, WWE, TKO, UFC. You know, they have their stuff with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is very involved with soccer or football, depending on how you call it. Mm-hmm. You know, at the end of the day, they are, when it comes to combat sports, they're very involved, and they're killing it as far as like making money and investing in it and making it a big spectacle. And Riyadh season is a very big thing for them. So ultimately, the way that I look at this is like, you know, money talks. They're investing the money into it, and WWE's partnership with Saudi Arabia is a very good partnership. They've been doing it for years. You've seen a lot of changes throughout the years of certain talent can't perform there. Now they can. So I mean, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I expect like one day WrestleMania will probably go there. Yep. You know, they're going to make these big spectacles. And they're going to invest a lot of money into that. And now with them launching a boxing promotion with TKO, there's a lot of money into that. So the good thing is for like combat sports athletes, it's completely changed the game, you know, as far as entertainment and all that stuff goes. So yeah, I mean, that's just going to happen. And WWE probably will continue working with them. TKO will probably work with them. But there's a lot of American businesses in general that are currently working with them. So it's not like WWE is the only one. There's several businesses in America that are working with them. So that's just the way it's going to be. Yep. Shout out to D-Rec2 for the super chat. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude our show. Really appreciate you guys all coming through and hanging out and being there with us to watch and talk about wrestling and talk about these news stories. For those who did not watch this, I will have a clip for all the wrestling news stories we discussed today on the channel. I appreciate everybody being here. Billy TKO on YouTube and TikTok, so make sure you guys follow him. And any last words, Billy?
No, sir. No, sir. I just appreciate you having me, man. If you guys wanted to, maybe I do have some last words. If you guys want to tune into my watch-alongs tonight, I definitely suggest doing so. We're going to be watching NXT at 8 p.m. Come over, come subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. Billy TKO over on YouTube. Hope to see you guys there.
Beautiful. Make sure you guys do it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is The Angle Show live Tuesday, January 10th. January. I said January. It is June. Shout out to everybody for joining